Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It's Basil here with two tablets that really do illustrate how good Android tabs are getting. We have the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact with its waterproofing and its super skinny chassis, and we have the HTC-made Google Nexus 9. 8.9 inches versus 8 inches, waterproofing versus no waterproofing, Android 5.0 versus 4.4. How else do they stack up against each other? Well, that's what this video is all about, and we're going to kick off as per usual talking about the design. And you can see the Google Nexus 9 is much bigger than the very svelte waterproof Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact. The tab compact is just 6.4 millimeters thick by contrast to 7.9 millimeters, and it's a much lighter device, 270 grams as opposed to 425. As far as the key design highlights go, you've got that 8-inch screen, front-facing camera, on-screen buttons, stereo speakers on both of these devices, which is great to see. Right-hand side, you can see 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, power button, volume rocker. Down at the base is where you can find the flap for micro USB charging, and that is under a flap because obviously this thing is waterproof. Left hand side, micro SD card slot. If you've got the LTE variant, which means this thing doubles up as a phone as well, you can stick a nano SIM card in there. Magnetic dock connector, up top, no buttons at all, and on the reverse is an 8 megapixel camera, sadly no flash. We're going to say from the offset therefore that the Google Nexus 9 will be better in low light conditions. But how does this feel? Well, it feels light, it feels premium, and well, it feels good. You've also got this matte backing which feels pretty rich. It's maybe a little bit slippery if you've got wet hands, but we didn't really have any problems with it. If you've got smaller hands, this will definitely be preferable to the, well, much bulkier Google Nexus 9, though it does still have pretty bezel-licious top and bottom portions. Bringing Google and HTC's offering into frame, it's available in a range of colors just like Sony's, black and white, and the Nexus 9 is also available in a sand color too. Front-facing speakers, on-screen buttons on the 8.9-inch display, weird display aspect ratio, the resolution is 1536 by 2048. Front-facing camera up at the top on the right-hand side, you can see you've got volume rocker and power button. Down at the base, no buttons, but there's a micro USB connector, nothing at all on the left-hand side, while up at the top is just a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Flip side, flash and camera, 8 megapixel rear facing camera as well. The black version really likes fingerprints. We'd suggest you get the white version for a couple of reasons. Doesn't like fingerprints as much, although it probably does like scuffing a little bit more, but it does also have a metallic rim which looks really nice and premium. On the back side you can also see a Nexus logo and an HTC insignia. Both of these devices had NFC, neither one of them has wireless charging. Both of these screens are IPS technology, that's LCD tech as well. What you can expect is similar performance, but they're actually quite different in terms of the output in many ways as well. Similar performance because they both have pretty nice accurate whites, and they're decent in terms of their brightness levels. Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact looks a little bit brighter in this instance right here. You can see we've got the same image up. The tab compact doesn't necessarily look as rich, it looks a little bit deeper on the Nexus 9. So we maybe would prefer to read text, maybe has a more forgiving contrast ratio, whereas the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact is a little bit starker. Could be better for movies, certain types of movies, but ultimately both are very good performers. You should be able to make out which you'd prefer from what you see on screen. They also both have phenomenal viewing angles and virtually identical viewing angles at that. As far as what you can expect inside goes, it's stock Android 5 versus Android 4.4.4. Android 4.4.4 on Sony devices is pretty much the same as every version of Android on Sony devices over the last year, with a few minor exceptions. If we pinch out, you can see you've got your overview of your home screens where you can also access widgets, applications, wallpapers, and themes. Themes are great. You can download new themes, change the whole look and feel of your phone, but we quite like this one, so we're going to leave it as it is. Pull down from the top, one finger, you can see all your notifications. Pull down with two fingers, you can see your quick toggles. It's nice in Android 5.0 that's been removed. We anticipate Sony will hopefully adopt the transition to just one pull down bar when they move over to 5.0 on the Z3 tablet compact. You've also got an applications tray, multiple pages, and on the left hand side a bar to help you organize your applications more tidily. That's pretty much the crux of it. One thing we didn't mention, when you multitask you can use some small applications, as you can see, and these can just, well, float around. So if we open up a timer, that just floats around. We can set the time and we can close it, but we can get on with background processes while that is ticking over. Moving that out of the way and taking a look at Android 5.0, you can see notifications can be pulled down, but you can also access them from the lock screen as well. What's nice about these is they can be expanded from the lock screen, and they can also be swiped out of the way very, very easily. If we unlock the tablet, we can access the camera from the unlock screen, but what we can also do, we can show you can pull down with one finger and then again pull down in order to activate the extended quick toggles and notifications in one menu. Applications tray's been revised as well. Rather than having a more transparent background, you have a very, very slightly semi-opaque white sheet of paper effectively, or that's what it looks like, behind the actual icons for the applications. And as you can see, when we minimize that, it neatly transitions into the applications tray, so everything leads into something else. This is all part and parcel of Google's material design, whether you're opening up a folder or using one of the new material design enhanced applications like Calendar, for example. Ultimately, we really do like Lollipop. You've also got, we didn't mention, the Google Now screen to the left hand side. It's a really nice stock UI. It looks just as pretty as any other user interface out there, and prettier in many respects. And we can't wait for it to make its way onto other devices, but we're interested to see how much of this material design makes its way onto devices like the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact, because this is a beautiful device with a beautiful UI, but the UI is dated and we can't wait for Sony to refresh it some. So moving on from that UI, and what can you do with it? Well, as far as multimedia goes, that's really going to be an interesting one. Both of these, like we said, have 8 megapixel cameras. We'd anticipate the Nexus 9's camera is going to be better just based on the fact it has a flash. What you can expect from Sony are enhanced camera modes that might give you a little bit more bang for your buck though, but you can only really expect to use them in decent lighting conditions. What's more, multimedia. If you're watching movies, then you'll probably enjoy the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact more for a number of reasons. The main one being that aspect ratio. You won't get as much black barring up top or bottom. The Google Nexus 9 might be better for ebook reading. If we're, for example, to open up that Amazon Kindle application, we can show you exactly what we mean. And as that opens up one of the books that we're reading, we can do exactly the same on the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact right here. And you can see we've got a very, very different amount of content that we can read. We've got the same picture up on both. We can pinch out so that we can get the similar kind of zoom aspect ratio. You can also see what we mean, that the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact looks brighter, it looks starker. The whites are much, much cooler. Those still look very, very color accurate at whatever angle you're viewing them both from. We'd prefer to read, like we said, definitely on the Nexus tablet. Can get more on a page. One page will take what 2 pages might on an Xperia Z3 tablet compact. But in the same breath, and if you're looking at pictures, shot in this aspect ratio, they'll look really great on here too. If you do watch a lot of movies though, there's no denying that the 16:9 odd aspect ratio will give you smaller black bars up top and bottom. It's interesting to note also, if you do read comics, these will also look a little bit better on the Sony Xperia Z3 tablet compact. If we open up a comic, we'll show you exactly what we mean. And if we're viewing it in portrait, you can see on the sides, no bars. They're actually formatted for this aspect ratio by applications like Marvel Unlimited, etc. If you're using some manga applications though, they might be better suited to the 16:9 aspect ratio. One thing that we didn't mention about the Marvel Unlimited application though, which actually works really well in the favor of the Nexus 9, is, as it loads up, if we were to read a comic in landscape, sure, you get the black bars in portrait, but landscape actually gives you the full page and there is no black bar either side. What's more, if you've got great eyesight, this should suffice. The nice thing about the application is that you can pinch independently to either frame and navigate around it. So it actually gives you maybe a more comic book type experience if you are indeed reading comics on the Nexus 9. So overall, one might say that reading better on the Nexus 9, watching better on the Sony Xperia Z3 Tablet Compact, but both great on both. Really don't think you'll be losing out too much on either. If we jump out of both of those, as gaming is really the next thing to talk about, and the Kepler DX1 GPU inside the NVIDIA Tegra K1 processor in here is going to be stellar. They're both stellar. The Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 with 3 GB of RAM performs very well, 2.5 GB clock speed. Can't really tell the difference with games that are out now. No games are really optimized to take advantage of it just yet, and it doesn't appear that very much is optimized just yet. So it's that eternal question. You may have better hardware in terms of processing power in this thing, but they're both going to perform as well as each other with what is out there right now. Ultimately, therefore, we did just touch on the fact you do have different processors in here, so we'll go into a bit more detail. 2 GB of RAM on the HTC made Google Nexus 9, 3 GB of RAM on the Xperia Z3 Tablet Compact, but don't let that fool you. Like we said, the GPU on here is a Kepler DX1 versus an Adreno 330 in the Qualcomm Snapdragon 801, 2.5 GB clock speed versus 2.3 GB clock speed, but again, don't let those numbers fool you. They should both perform very, very smoothly, packing similar pixel densities, although the Nexus 9 has got more pixels to push overall at 1536 by 2048. As far as connectivity goes, both are available in LTE flavors or Wi-Fi flavors too. You can also expect to get the full phone call functionality if you do get the LTE variant on the Xperia Z3 Tablet Compact, but don't expect that on the Nexus 9. 32 GB or 16 GB, no microSD expandability, 16 GB microSD expandability. Not sure if there's a 32 GB version out. If there is, we would recommend it. We would definitely recommend the 32 GB version of the Google Nexus 9. As far as the batteries go, this has a whopping great big 6700 milliamp cell in it. Unsurprising as to why it's a bit of a beefcake in that case, because it's got a bigger cell. What it also has is a very hungry processor, so don't expect that to last you for days and days and days. As for the Sony Xperia Z3 Tablet Compact, it's a 4500 milliamp cell. Hopefully you've enjoyed our quick hands-on side-by-side comparison between the Google Nexus 9 made by HTC and the Sony Xperia Z3 Tablet Compact. Hopefully it's answered all your questions. If it hasn't, fire your questions in the comments section below. If there's anything in particular you want us to test out between these two tablets, also fire those in the comments section below. Thanks for watching BTech.